Alright, good evening everybody, and welcome along to round 5 of 11. Almost halfway through the season, and towards that halfway point, the EU1 drivers are going to have to tackle Suzuka, world class circuit, very common knowledge to every Formula 1 fan, and something else that's common knowledge is my side co-commentator this evening, Jack Prentice again.
Questions V here as always, Libby. Yes, a classic circuit, fitting really for this week. Bearing in mind the past goings on of the last few days. Obviously, a classic commentator has sadly departed as the voice of Formula One. I think it was here where Murray came out with one of his classic lines in Japan 1996. You may be familiar with. We won't quite be coming out with lines like that tonight. It's not quite as emotionally attached to the drivers as he was with Damon Hill, but I think we're going to have some classic racing tonight.
Absolutely, of course we did the tribute during the week, and thank you to Wizard who set that up. It was a great event, and it got a lot of attention from the Corsica community, and we give him that send-off. I won't quite be doing the go this evening because we have to pass from that. We have to go back to reality, of course. But he was a fantastic commentator. I watched a few of his races, previous races, this week, just to see and get a better understanding of how good he was. Trust me, he was good. Welcome along, everybody, to the stream. And should be a fantastic night of action. EU3 was a little less demanding on the entertainment, but EU2 had a bit of everything. Yesterday night, Jack, you had a couple of twists and turns, or especially in the end of quali in your race this week in Suzuka.
Yeah, I had to get the lap in, and I was fortunate really that it's a track that's very hard to pass on, which meant that if you're simple enough hold off, and certainly make it difficult for any car following behind. It's a narrow track as well, but it punishes mistakes. This, unlike any other. There was it catches the unwary out. You run ever so slightly wide, especially through that first sector, all the way through really, until you get to the vector section. If you put a wheel wrong there, you're in trouble. And it's unique as a circuit compared to so many others, not just because for its figure of 8 layout, which leads just out of the exit of the second Degner, crosses underneath the left hander of the entry to the 130R, probably one of the most famous corners in Formula 1 now. Certainly one of the best for a Formula 1 driver. And yeah, that's probably one of the few places as well, going through the 130R, certainly heading into the Casio Triangle chicane, where you can get a move done. And if you're quicker than somebody, it might be best to get your moves done there and upset them ahead of the chicane and the one DRS zone.
Absolutely, get that headset turned up, Jack, and go through some information that we all commonly know. Of course, 5.8 kilometre circuit, 3.6 miles. We have 27 laps this evening from a 53 lap 100% race which we hosted in Endurance 2 weeks ago. One DRS zone, of course, one of the only tracks on the calendar that I like to use the corner names rather than the corner numbers. I found a website that gives you some stats. So 31 races in the Formula 1 have been held here. Wins from pole is 48.4%, which is quite a lot. Most successful team Ferrari with 7 wins. Most successful drivers Michael Schumacher with 6 wins. And the lap record average speed 143 miles an hour. Of course, in these cars, you'd expect that to be beaten. And of course, the podium in 2019 was Bottas, Vettel and Hamilton. Vettel having a pretty bad start at the lights out. And of course, Verstappen got spun by Leclerc, who then got wind damage. So that was interesting. And we've got Japan back on the calendar for 2021. Let's hope we can get there. And we've had some times come in. We've got a 25.490 from Vaporizer. We've got IFR Bollin's secondary name. He's rowing boats now. 25.6, he's just been overtaken by CDR. Alpine Torin the 0.7s, as is Jesse Basson. And Jack, I've heard from the drivers that we could get a 24.9, 25 dead at best.
Track would need to be playing ball for that, I think. It's one of those really that you have to get a lap together, because if you make even 1 or 2 mistakes, you lost 3 or 4 tenths, I think, at comfortable. Bearing in mind, Vaporizer's already set a 1 minute 25.4. So as the track evolves and the track gets quicker and quicker and quicker, there will be some slight improvements. It's a rhythm circuit as well, so you get your first one to really be a banker, and then from there, you know, as long as you've got that banker lap in, you can really start to kick loose and really let the car wander around, really. And that's the thing with this circuit. It's a confidence circuit. Once you've got that, once you haven't got any nagging doubt in the back of your mind, you really can let loose, put in a very, very good lap if the car's working.
Oh,
well.
that's it. Somehow keeps it out of a wall. Dunlop curve. Seen a lot of that this week, and we'll see more of it. That's lap cancelled. I'm having a few glitches with the broadcast camera, everybody. So if you see me not using that as much in the quali session, it's just because it's bugged. So we should get some onboard footage, and we saw some onboard footage of Dynastics nearly losing his McLaren into the Dunlop wall, but unfortunately, fortunately he saved it. But unfortunately, that's lap cancelled. Jesse in the Alfa Romeo has been upgraded by Matty, giving him a full-time seat for the moment. Try and get this EU1 grid full. If you wait half a minute, Jack, you can probably take us on a lap of Suzuka with him. He's not a bad driver, Mr. Jesse. He's top of ED1 after some very good, consistent races, including the 61 laps of Singapore. And of course, he won Japan in endurance with that heavy rain at the end.
Yeah, we won't talk about my endurance races in the last, either Japan or Singapore, to be perfectly honest. But I'm going to focus now on Jesse as he begins to fire himself up for an assault on the Suzuki course. And he needs to get a good exit out of the chicane. That right hand has quite a heavy bump as the div. You need to get that right, otherwise you'll lose time. The RS Open now, up to a 200 miles an hour, probably just past. Don't worry about the cars on the inside, they'll back off and get out of the way. 204 miles an hour, flat out in the first part. Need to hook it up, bring it back in for the second apex. Now you're on to turn 3, through the S-curve, left, right, progressively getting slower, left again through turn 5. Now you really do need to hold this inside line because you need a wide line for the Dunlop curve. Uphill, the back end can go really loose through here. Needs to keep it within those lines. He does just about run a little bit wide. That'll cost him a tenth now. Degner attacks the first apex really well. Use the banking for the second apex to fire yourself off now down the straight into the right-handed kink before, I think it's turn 12, isn't it? It's the Kobayashi hairpin, as I like to call it. Don't have to hit the apex there.
X11, yeah.
As long as you get a good exit there. Now, to fire yourself down this acceleration zone, there's a right-handed kick now. Keep to the right-hand side because you've got spoon curve. An awkward first exit now. Need to make sure you hit that curve right. Don't run too wide. Patient on the power for the second part of spoon. Now you're onto the back straight. Going over the crossover now, just over the deck as I mentioned earlier. Keep yourself focused now because you've got to go through the 130R, one of the most famous corners on the F1's calendar. Now, heavy braking, a slight right-hander before the Casio triangle chicane. Need some good exits out of here. Sacrifice your entry speed just a little bit. Keep it to the right-hand side now for the final run to the line. Of that is 1 minute 25.8 for Jesse. It's 8th place. I think he's got a bit of work to do there because that was not one of his finest laps, but certainly able to take us on a tour of the Suzuka International Circuit.
Yeah, thank you so much. Murray would have been proud of that. Rowan is starting his lap. We can remain on board with the Williams as he does it. We heard Dan in commentary yesterday night. Outstanding commentary by Dan, by the way, on the lights out and final lap. Some of the best I've heard. He said that he only struggles with one corner, and that's spoon. And we've seen drivers struggle with it. And Dunlop as well. Even these drivers who are so good and so quick, so experienced, struggle sometimes to go flat, and even in these cars.
Just watching Rowan a bit, he's just 2 tenths up, but he was in a little bit of understeer through the midway part of the S-curve. I think it was the 4th or 5th apex. It was just to the left hand, the penultimate left-hander, because he really ended up running a bit wider than you want, and there's a bit of a tighter entry from that right-hander to set him up for Dunlop. It didn't go him too badly, but I think it probably cost him a tenth.
I've been told the weather has matched all races this week. Dry.
Right.
So no monsoons, no storm limits coming to Japan, unfortunately. How's Dressé Bassin set an 878? It's not quite purple, but it says Alp set a 719, which is actually a tenth and a half quicker than Bolin. So I'll have to keep an eye on Alp. He's coming behind soon. Let's have a look how. I'm going to call him Bolin. I know I will. He crosses the line. It is pole, only by a bit. How's Alp doing? Here he comes. He goes pole by just under a tenth. 25.349. There is still room there though for more.
Here comes Spawner now, 1 minute 27 flat, won't really cut it, but he's doing another test session, and he runs wide at turn 1 straight away, so that'll be an aborted lap. Sporting a new helmet to see, quite orange it looks. He's got Dynastics now. Dynastics is probably the main man setting up for a lap at the moment. He's just now.
You might
get in and out. Yep.
Might want to check Vaporizer because he has gone purple first. Rita crosses the line, it's a 596. Where is Vaporizer?
The second set though, so he's had some events there. Yeah, he's sported, so yeah, he's in like his third sector much either.
Yeah, good spot. Very good spot. How's Stinson doing? That's an invalidation.
Well, he's not going to be next cross line because he's in the pit if he's got any sense. We've got Calzo now. He's about to finish a lap. He's also invalidated, it looks like, because he's already at 133 as he comes into the final chicane. Now, Spawner is another man that's going to be in the pits. Would wager. So, a lot of drivers on an in lap at this stage. I think Conzo might be one of the few that is. And Conzo now, we're going to watch him. I think there's nobody else that's on a lap apart from Dynastic.
Samad is. He's got 2 Red Bulls for company though. Coming out of the spin.
I'll stay out of the way.
You'd hope so. I think one of them already is on the left hand side, on board with the Ferrari of Samad. Got a pretty poor lap by his standards in the first part of quali. And for this second lap, let's see what he can do. Dressé Bassin gets out of the way into a chicane. Second cut, not too bad.
Yeah, I think I'd have preferred the Red Bulls to just stop.
Oh,
and,
it's not an improvement by Samad. It was only 3.5 tenths.
Yeah, so he went up in terms of pace, but not so. I think the Red Bulls might have done him a bit of a. I think, if we're being honest, it could have been a bit kinder to him, to be honest, with where they got out of the way. I think really to make it easy for him, you just stop on the straight, let him come past you rather than, you know, add that willy won't he nagging doubt going into the final chicane. Really, I think Conzo's about to second lap, isn't he? He is indeed. He's 1.5 seconds up as well, so it's going to be. Oh goodness me, that back end will not sit down. And Bossy's 2 seconds up. It's only good enough for 16. That back end looked awful, to be honest. Yeah, it was a bit of a fucking bronco as he came out of the chicane. I don't know whether you saw it or not, but he was really fighting the car under traction. It wasn't at all happy with the power output that it was required there. So, yeah, not strong for the Renaults because they are 16th and 17th. There's only Squader behind, and this is a glorified test session for Squader. He's going to get some data for his AM race later on, I would wager.
3 minutes and 50 plus a little bit more. There's just a very slight echo, Jack, on my voice. If you can try and fix that. Okay, it's just come in now.
Okay, how about now?
It's quieter. It's still there. Work on it.
Copy. Okay, let's just pull that down a bit. Okay, that should be better now, I think.
Yeah, that sounds good. That's perfect. Cool. Right, Dynastics into the pit lane. Everyone's into the pit lane, apart from Mr. Conzo, who I'm sure will be in the pit lane. He's got time to go in and turn around, just.
He's the only one that is on an outlap. He's halfway, he's probably heading towards Spoon, so...
well, you've gone quiet again, Jack.
Okay, so let's see what Swarner can do here now.
There we go.
He's just about to set his, or just about to start his lap. I don't want to put any pressure on him, but it's probably going to be him that you want to ride on with.
Well, he might as well. He's going to be the next one to go in an outlet. Sorry, push lap.
To finish his lap,
Oh, there's a lot of traffic though. Look at the mini map. All of them starting to come out now.
I'm sure if they've got any sense, they'll pull out of his way. A bit of a tentative exit as well. I think he lost himself a bit of time there, but he'll learn for later now. So across the line, needs to beat a 1 minute 27 flat. Well, he would need to anyway, to be honest, because he'll be nowhere with that time. Quite quick going into the first corner as well. Keeps it nicely hooked to the apex. Doesn't quite hit it, but you don't have to as long as you get a decent run. Back end doesn't look quite so settled there, and that made him miss the apex for the right-hander at 4. This is 6 now. Hits the apex really nicely actually, but just has a bit of a tight entry. That's a run slightly wide. Tight entry for Dunlop, but he keeps it all in check. Now let's see what his first sector's like. It's what, 3 tenths up. Doesn't really attack Degner, but it all looks neat and tidy.
That was a lot of grass, wasn't it?
Yeah, he didn't really attack the first Degner, did he? But he seemed to be a bit unsettled through the second part. Misses the apex, but as long as it's got a good exit there, it doesn't matter too much. He needs to keep it tight to the right-hand side now for the best run. We'll see where his progress is here, but I wouldn't have thought it would be into the top 10 now. Attack Spoon, really does attack Spoon, has a bit of understeer, have to be patient with that second apex as well. Yeah, keeps it all neat and tidy. It's not a bad lap. It's certainly going to be a lot better now. Let's see if the Renaults are awake ahead of him. Well, the Renault doesn't look that awake, does he? Because he's on the line into the 130R. We better hope he gets out of the way. He does. Just about, goodness me, that would have been half his mouth. Right, attack the apex. Needs to keep it further to the right-hand side. I think he went wandering a bit there. 1 minute 26.4 puts him in 17th. Wasn't a perfect final sector. I reckon the traffic to his traffic from the entrance into the chicane might just put him off because it was far from the finest chicane, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, Dressé Baton is going to be the first one to cross the line, then it's going to be Fruitful. Not quite sure after that, but I believe that's the what I was looking at on the minimap while you were taking us on board.
Yeah, so Dressé Baton's currently a 10th off, isn't he? So he needs to really find something in that final sector. Does attack Spoon. And it's not a bad exit. He missed the apex, missed the second apex slightly, but it wasn't enough to really hurt him. It's an interesting line these days. He keeps it to the left-hand side. He's found 2 tenths in the middle of the sector. Keeps it really to the left-hand side. Turns it quite hard, which I haven't seen, to be honest. And that's a lovely first apex. It's a great second exit. Second apex. He'll be happy with that. I reckon he's going to go 5th or 4th here, and he does. He goes 5th.
Yeah, good spot. Good guesstimate, educated. Here's Fruitful. Can he improve on his P12? I'm sure he can. Crosses the line. It's second place. And gap between Bolin and Vaporizer for 2 championship holders on the same points is just a tenth of a second. Rowan's going to be the next one to cross out of the 2. Just
he has to fight his car out of the exit now. Well, he improves by 2,000th of a second. I think it's a well-known shot that says every little helps.
Still misses out by 13 thousandths of a second. Rowan goes P2. It's a 370, 21 thousandths of a second off the top place. It's not bad. Stinson goes 6th fastest. Checker flags out for him. And Vaporizer's got to be close now. He is close and goes pole by almost 2 1/4 tenths.
I think Warner's in the pits now. I think it's out to come through next. Then it still has Carter.
Oh, it's close. It's 300ths of a second.
Well, so
Reese is next. He goes 3rd.
Goodness me, it's a tight old grid, isn't it?
Alpha Tauri, Tom Robbo potentially. I can't quite flick to his name in time.
Golo's gonna not improve, I think.
Samad only improves by 1, Jack, into P14. That is not the result he would have wanted. I think Konzo's about to cross the line. He replaces his teammate and Milan, goes 15th, and apart from Dressé Baton, who's not on a lap, that is Suzuka over and done with.
Half a second covering, well, less than half a second covering the top 10. And,
that's good.
Well, 8/10 of a second covers the top 16. Then it's Calzo and Swarder who are the odd ones out, really. Over a second off Vaporizer. But those two were fighting the guards. I think Swarder won't be happy with his final sector. He won't be that happy with his final sector, to be honest.
So Vaporizer finished 400ths of a second away from Montana last season, December 3rd, I believe Japan was, and 3 months later, he's 3 tenths up, and he's got his teammate 300ths behind himself. A lot of threes in that sentence. 25-1, so we did get the lower side. We got the 2 racing points on the front row. That is a statement if I've seen one. The 2 Williams, who are top of constructors as it stands, 5th and 6th on the 3rd row of the grid. And they've got Reeser and Rowan between them and the 2 racing points. Carter's not done bad in 7th place. 2 of the IFR gang, Stinson and Dracer, 8th and 9th. And starting the 5th row, Jack, is CDR with Dynastics behind.
Yeah, so interesting really that the top 10 they're all on quite even pace, aren't they? So the field spread's going to be quite key. Now, if you're starting 11th backwards, you can either start on fresh softs, that'll be a bit grippier and maybe take you a bit further into the race, or mediums or hard. You've got your free choice. So really, that could be quite an advantage. Not maybe on the top guys, but if you're looking for 5th or 6th, maybe starting 11th isn't quite such a bad place. 11th, 12th and 13th, you might be okay, depending on what strategy you go for. There's obviously going to be a really tight first lap as well, because the first, well, it's such a narrow circuit, so the first lap really is quite crucial. And I think, yeah, we're looking for an interesting race. The fact that they're so close will either mean that it'll be a bit of a DRS train, or there'll be some real ducking and diving going on here, and I'm really interested to see where we're at with this.
Absolutely. We have seen. I mean, listen, Ricky and who was it? I can't remember who it was. It was someone yesterday. It was the best wheel-to-wheel action I've seen on this track, and it lasted all the way from turn 1 all the way to Dunlop, where Ricky just got past. If someone could remind me, I know a couple of people would have been there last night. It was some of the best racing I've seen on this circuit ever. Are we going to get that? We've also seen, and I think it was Matty who made the comment, that there's been a lot more overall damage this season. Whether that's people getting more feisty and aggressive because it's a half shortened calendar. I don't know, but there has been a lot of end plates going missing and a lot of damage every now and again. We saw damage last week in Abu Dhabi with, of course, some fruitful braking a little bit late and little things like that. And this circuit is tight, isn't it, Jack? Of course there's room most places, but it is relatively tight compared to most circuits.
Yes, it is. It's a classic, an old school circuit. And that means that mistakes are punished, but it does mean that the ribbon of tarmac that sits at the at the Suzuka International Circuit is actually quite narrow, which means with it being fast flowing as well, overtaking you either have to be full or a little bit desperate. Just looking through the tyres and the tyre choices now. I'm just looking to take you through that quick for a second when I get that up and on. So nobody, as Cool Hands Carter manages to have a collision under the safety car. That means he's going to start on cold tyres. So your top 10 are all on soft tyres. That is Vaporizer, Alp, Reeser, Rowan, Fruitful, Rowan, and a Cool Hands Carter ahead of Stinson, Dracer, Basson and Cordon-Ngolo, CDR. Now they will be looking to get to probably about between lap 7 and lap 11, depending on what they want to do. Some might go to hard tyres and get a bit of an undercut and a better run towards the end. Some might go on medium, track position potentially, but you'll be fighting your car towards the end. From 11th backwards, that is Dynastics, Tom, Robbo, Jesse, Samad, Konzo, Milan, Calzo and Spawner are all on medium tyres. Now that means that they have a bit of a choice. Some might go to lap 13, lap 14 and put hard tyres on. Some might go to lap 19 or anywhere from lap 15 to lap 19 and put some soft tyres on. So a real change, real difference in strategy, but you've really got to be inventive with your overtaking if you're going to make it work.
Bit of a gap between the leader and the back sitter as Vaporizer just pulls his car alongside on his grid marking spot, ready for the start of the Grand Prix. Williams 10 points ahead in the constructors. Bolin and Vaporizer on equal points in the Drivers' Championship for Season 7. After tonight, we will be halfway through the season, and let's see if Japan can bring on a cracker as everyone has finally lined up on the grid. Here we go then. 5 lights, 27 laps of Suzuka. It's lights out and away we go. Alp gets a pretty shaky start. He's behind Vaporizer. Reese getting a good start. Alp's being sandwiched by Mercedes and AlphaTauri. He's right in the middle and he's had contact with the AlphaTauri. Rowan and Alp are off the track. A safety car has already been deployed at the start of Suzuka, and that is not the start Rowan would have wanted. He's retired from the race. Alp is at the back of the Grand Prix and the drivers struggling to get back into their correct position.
Dreadful start from Alp, and that's always going to be a risk, a factor of this circuit. Whenever you do get one car at the start that does have a bad start, cars are going to be jockeying about. It happened as far back as 2010, I remember, when Petrov weaved his way through through the pack and caught Hulkenberg and spun himself off, and that's exactly what's happened there. So what happened was, down the inside, Rowan's trying to make his move down the inside, and because Alp has just got swamped, eventually has nowhere to go, turns into the corner, and unfortunately he catches the rear end, it looks like, of Rowan and spares him off into the wall and out of the race. There's been a couple of times where that's happened in the recent past, and I think that's exactly what's happened here. Now, if you're on soft tyres, you probably don't pit. Some might, if you're maybe sort of 7th or 8th, or no, 6th or 7th as it looks like, because it's been a great start for some of the medium runners. Cool Hans Carter and Alpha 2 who have really suffered in that, haven't they? If you look there, the Haas drivers dropped from, I think, 7th all the way back to 12th, isn't he? Perhaps a bit of a legacy of his cold tyres. But if you're in the softs at the front, you probably don't pit, because you've got to go really to laps 7, 8 or 9 for your hards to really work. They'll be awful towards the end. What this does do is give the medium runners a bit more licence to thrill maybe at the end, because they've got 3 laps but they're doing nothing on the tyres, and so from that end, Alp's going to pit because obviously he's at the back, but from that end, that means that they can they're more likely to go to put soft tyres on now into the pits. I think it's Warner, Alp. I'm just trying to look here now. The timing screen is having a bit of a glitch, so
It's a bit of a mess, so that cancels out until it comes back.
Warner, Calvo and Alp. Alp's missing a bit of front wing, so of course he's going to pit and go to hard tyres. They won't be nice towards the end though, and it'll be the same for Cool Hands car. I'm struggling to work out where everybody is because the timing screens are an absolute western super mess. So.
Yeah, I mean, it works down from Vaporizer. I think that's correct, isn't it? Oh, let's have a look. If you go on board with Vaporizer's gearbox. I know, it's completely wrong.
Oh yeah, no, now it's having its little silly dance that it's doing here now. So
I just want to quickly add, Jack. So Tom Rubbo was involved in some way. I don't think it was the AlphaTauri at the front. May have been. He's got 12 wing damage. I don't know if that's a missing end plate. We'd have to check. Not a good start for Alp or Rowan.
It was quite a melee, wasn't it?
Oh, it was a mess. And the stream, by the way, I don't know about you, but it got a beautiful view of everything. It was, you could see it was coming out. I don't know if I said he was being sandwiched. I think I said that, but it was clear something was not going to go well.
So, just noticing as well, Fruitful in 3rd place has a 5-second penalty, so I can only assume that he got the safety car collision that normally happens whenever you even breathe near somebody on the very last of the game. That means that's bad news for him, because it's 5 seconds, he isn't going to get back. As soon as it's served, unfortunately, as Cog's rule, that can't be got back. So a bit of a disadvantage for the Flying Dutch, but I suspect he might let his teammate Rowan through.
He's had plenty of disadvantages.
Yeah, it's not been a great defence, has it? Some of it through his own errors, some of it through just monstrously bad luck.
Just like Liverpool, it's not going very well.
I won't drive it to Liverpool.
Tom Rubbo. So Tom Rubbo got a 5-second pen for hitting Jesse, and Jesse got a 5-second stop and go for hitting Samad. Fruitfuls is not on there, so I cannot confirm or deny. I could look at race director.
Quite sensible because he served it now, so it's going to have minimal impact. He's on medium, so he should clear a couple of hard runners ahead.
Jack Fruitful with it was contact with Alp. So was that? I mean, I don't know. It all happened very quick. Was that the start of the chain?
No, it would have been under the safety car that happened. So that would have been after rather than before.
So they're all going to come off if they're going to do it in the pits, aren't they?
No, they're not. They're not going to come off. Well, they'll be served, but they will not be taken away. because unfortunately it's been said this is what we can do.
Yeah. So
So,
lap. This is this
I think
3
for
or
the
2?
case of
It's definitely
Fruitful
3, isn't
though
it?
and Rowan, they might swap around. I can think of a line now which would, and I'm gonna maybe put a bit of a cheeky one in here, but for Rowan, the cars around him are all very, very different. You could say that that car is totally unique, apart from the one in front of him, which is exactly the same.
Well,
As a wise man once said.
we saw. I was watching the American race last night. It was AN2. There's an early safety car. It wasn't on lap 1, I don't think, but it's quite early. Definitely before the softs change on to mediums or whatever. And Ricky said, well, why don't you gamble on the hards and go to the end? Because the softs and mediums are going to be in traffic for the whole race, and you'll have clear track. You may benefit from it. Whether that works or not, got a comment here from Mr. Kraft saying that they might be in a good place for hard tyre drivers here. Can they get to the end on those tyres?
Probably, but they'll be horrendously slow and they'll be a sitting duck because the rears will go. From my experience, even from lap 7 onwards, they got very tight, it got very dicey towards the end. I'm just quite relieved to see the checkered flag now. Oh, this is real bunching, isn't it? This is quite extreme.
This is real bunching.
This might be a... Well, the safety car was in quite late. Vaporizer's gone. That's a good restart.
Yeah, let's go. We'll stay on board with Vaporizer's gearbox to give us the best view as, for the second time, we restart this Grand Prix straight after the 5 lights. So Vaporizer ahead of Risa, ahead of Fruitful. Bollings trying to warm up his tyres as best as he can. Doesn't want to do a George Russell in Imola. There is a massive gap from Stinson to CDR. Just see the safety car parking on its place. Jesse's behind Dynastics. Some adding to turn 1 going very quick. Milan going wide. Might have picked up a warning. And Tom Robbo, maybe on the inside of Calzo, decides not to. Stays behind, all clean at the safety car restart.
Yeah, Cordongola was really caught sleeping, wasn't he? He's lost a second, and it can be quite hard to gain that back because of the way that the track is. The turbulence is quite effective, for want of a better word. I think Spawn is currently being troubled by Alp. I think they're going to go through the Dunlop curve. But yes, as this track is, the turbulence is quite effective from quite far back. So yeah, he'll have to work hard really, and he is working hard. He's working that ERS very hard to try and get within 1 second, at least try and get some respite in the form of DRS. I think if you're a medium runner though, especially in the top 10 or 11, you're in a good position. Apart from Jesse, who's going to serve 5 seconds in the pit, so it's a weird one for him. I think he might have to potentially pit early, go to hards, and try and get get any kind of track position, and try and get rid of that penalty early on. If you're Dynastics, if you're Samad, and if you're Milan, you're in a really good spot here because you can really put pressure on those soft runners ahead, and they're not going to get away.
No DRS until the start of lap 6. I think Tom Robbo's made a move on Calzo into P13. Of course, fresh and mediums will require a pit stop later on during this Grand Prix. Look at that view as we head round Turn 1, and no incidents after lights out. There's the man who retired, leaving the session early on. I'd like to see that again after the race. Chaos, but we're back again, and we're all nice and clean so far. So Vaporizer's trying to pull away from Risa, Fruitful and Rowan, the 2 Williams drivers, trying to stay within overtaking touch. And that DRS, of course, is a yellow flag. It's a Haas driver. Oh, not a man. Not a man I would expect to have spun.
I think he's dropped it at the Dunlop curve. He had been, I think he and a few others have been struggling through there, as indeed everybody has this week. No discernible, no visible damage I can see at the moment. I'm just looking through now, and there's nothing that's come up on Sass apart from a bruised ego. But that's 17th place, and I think he's going to have a bit of a job on really to rescue any kind of points from there.
Dynastics 2 tenths away from the car in front. We'll just quickly flick to him on the spectator menu. McLaren behind Red Bull chooses opts to save that battery for as much as possible. I'm not quite sure how easy it is to recharge that back up. I'm sure Jack can tell us in a second as the cars go through that Casio triangle on the final chicane of the lap. And there's your message. DRS is enabled. Only one zone, of course, so we'll have to wait till the end of this lap to maybe see some overtaking action.
So it's okay in terms of recharging, but you don't want to use it every lap unless you're just trying to get a bit of a short burst out the final corner, in which case you press it briefly and then just keep a fairly consistent usage. But isn't the easiest to gain back, especially when you're going as fast as these are. They're on the brakes a lot less, and they're on the accelerators a lot more than us mere mortals. Interesting to see the Dynastics. He's really a man on a mission here. He's all over the back of Dracer, and I don't think it's going to be long before one Dane tries to slice another Dane, because Dynastics is a lot quicker at this stage, and those softs are starting to give Dracer Button anyway a bit of grief. Now I think he might do it instead. He was shaping up there. Look how close he is through there. I think he might have to get his work done elsewhere. I think Cool Hands Cast has binned it again at the Dunlop curve, so it really is game over for him as far as points are concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. And Drace Basson taking a lot of inside curb on that spoon, dragging that car nearly wide, but stays within the limits. Doesn't get a warning. No penalties apart from those safety car collisions from Fruitful and Jesse.
Just noticing this now, Lemmy, I'm very sorry. Grace has already used a lot of his ERS, already down to 20%, whereas Dynastics is up to 60. So I think that might be when, not if, unless he can. Gracer can gamely hang on in that DRS zone, because Gordon N'Gola obviously is still a bit off the pace of the top five.
Samad get past Jesse here. Oh, actually, maybe not. Actually, Ferrari Alfa Romeo, but two Ferrari engine-powered cars are having a bit of a battle into turn 1 and 2, and Jesse retains that place into P9. And further down the grid, I believe Konzo has just overtaken Swan, and that's P15 for the Renault driver.
Yeah, as soon as you try going around the outside there, you really do need to have at least half a car ahead in order to make that work. Samad going side by side, he's going to get elbowed off, and Jesse well within his rights to do so.
Through the Degners, on board with Dynastics. We've been on board with him for a little bit. He's top of the medium starters, who were outside the top 10, of course. And he's been battling with that Red Bull in front for a couple of laps. Keeps getting very close to that hairpin, but then no can do as the softs get out of the traction. Just looking at the TAS system, we can see the tyres. Softs ranging about 41 to 38%, mediums 20 to 24. And there's a yellow flag going. I believe that's the same person as the last two yellow flags.
Yeah, it's not been a great day for Cool Hands Carter. I think it's one of those that he's just going to file in the cabinet of not gone well.
Oh, the both Honda powered cars, Milan and Tom Rubbo having a cheeky battle. Tom Rubbo chooses to stay behind, and that DRS is probably going to help him here. AlphaTauri. Now, if a medium can get past the soft here, oh sorry, it's both medium drivers. Apologies, says the AlphaTauri right hand side, textbook move, and he's through. And yeah, Carter's not through at the moment. He's really struggling.
Yeah, no, he's halfway down the straight. Simpson's gone to mediums from lap 7. They'll be dicey towards the end, I think is the polite word I'm going to use. And, well, they'll be dicey now because it's just fun coming out the first corner. So,
oh dear.
This flat was there. He's lit up the rear tyres, and it's going to take a long, long time for them to cool down. But never mind, he's got to go through the Dunlop curve, who has, Cool Hands started perhaps unsurprisingly after his eventful 7 laps, has called it a day in the 6th and retired the car. Simpson, though, now has put himself at a big old disadvantage because he must have cost himself 3 or 4 seconds with that little half spin there. And that's put him out of contention as well, because those mediums will be awful towards the end. It looks quite ragged actually through the Degners as well.
That 12 damage. Sorry, go on.
I don't know what's happened to him, but Gordon N'Gola is about 2.5 weeks. Dropped a bit further back from Rowan, and he's got quite a train behind him. Drace is now as quick as Dynastics recovered himself a bit, and Drace now I think is going to have a go if Gordon N'Gola doesn't hit.
That 12, yeah, that 12 damage we discussed at the start of the race between Alp and Tom, only one of them changed the wing from it. May mean something later on. It's not letting me change camera.
Yeah, you notice it. You do notice it. Even at 12 damage, it just adds a bit of understeering. It just your car takes a split second longer to turn in, and that's all you need here because it's it's a track that you really do have to have the nose in well.
100%. Lap 9, 27. Once we complete this lap, we're a third of a way through. Bit of a slow start due to the safety car, of course, but the drivers are cracking on now. We had some of the a mix of strategies. People staying out, people going for mediums, people going for hards. You've got some of the grid on the median from the start of the race. You've got a bit of everything, and who knows what's going to happen later on. I'm excited to see. I'm also excited to see Dynastics is finally going to get past Stress Better. Not down to Spoon, but maybe afterwards. 36 battery for Dynastics, 14 for Dressé Bassin. A lot of battery being burnt early. I actually watched quite a few Yana Opme videos yesterday, and the pro drivers try and save as much as they can early on. Like, you never see them with less than 50. So that maybe says two things. Dressé Bassin's defending for his life, or Dynastics wants to get past early. Maybe a bit of both, who knows.
Yeah, it's. I think Dynastics is. You really do need to be busy early here, and I think
I like that saying. Yeah, busy early.
Yeah, Dynastics wasn't busy early, and that's why he got settled in. I think he could have had race. I think Lewis made the point on Monday night when he was commentating on EU3 or what's that?
Oh, Jack, stand by, wheel to wheel action between Jesse and Samad, and I think they touched. No spins.
Yeah, no, all a bit firm but fair. Jesse's obviously been watching EU3 as well in order to make sure that he does not surrender that inside line. So very well done from Jesse. Samad is probably not going to be echoing those thoughts. I think it's best to say.
Yeah, no damage, that's good. Like I said in my formation lap, it's nice to see wheel-to-wheel action with a lack of missing end plates, so that's great. Alp is 3 tenths behind Calzo, same tyres at the moment. Alp, of course, transitioning, that's probably a good word, behind Calzo when he fixed his wing in the pit lane, of course. And yeah, so racing points were first and second, of course, at the start of this. And it was all caused, Jack, actually, by Alp's poor start. The first thing I said was Alp didn't get away well, and that's what caused for well, it's not what caused for sandwich, but that didn't help.
It was a contributing factor, wasn't it? I think you're right there in that whilst they didn't quite sort it out by the time they got to the first corner, I think it kind of bottlenecks. It's a bit like driving around in a US city, isn't it? In that, you know, it takes one thing to go wrong and it causes quite a huge bottleneck, and I think that's what's happened here. Jesse, so Rowan, Bolin's pitted, he'll be going on to mediums and he'll be making them last quite well, thank you very much. Now, this is the time to shine for Dynastics. This is where you've got to get the hammer down because there's plenty of cars behind you on hard tyres, whereas the leaders are all on fresh mediums. You've got to get this right because if you get to lap 16, it'll be party time on any fresh softs you might have.
Someone's going wheel to wheel here, and it's Fruitful on Dressé Bassin into turn 1 and 2, and Fruitful is ahead. So Rowan come out the pits behind Vaporizer and Risa. 12 places for now, but of course we'll move up later on. And like you said, I think you're spot on. Dynastics, free track. Go and use it. Go and get the most out of those tyres. And you never know if it's a VSC or a safety car in 9 laps time. No, even less. Maybe 7 or 8 laps time for a change to softs. That would be perfect. Oh, Dressé Bassin, I saw that on the stream. Clear penalty there for the Red Bull driver.
Yeah, got a little bit adventurous with the track limits there, didn't he? It's easy to do through Degner. It's a corner where if you get it right, it's perfect, and if you get it even slightly wrong, you're in big, big trouble.
Easy penalties there. Just looking at the tyre percentages, Jack, for Dynastics and Jesse. Dynastics highest 42 and 41 for Jesse, so they're not too bad. Still very usable.
Certainly still got a bit of life left in them. I think you probably, when you get to sort of 60%, that's when you're going to be thinking about swapping them for a fresh of for a set of new food. That's when really you want to start to get off them. But wherever you are with this track, it's a difficult track in terms of tyres, but it's one that you have to be in terms of track position. That's where the key thing is. So even if you are needing to manage your tyres, as long as you're ahead of somebody, there's only one place that you'll be passed. Looking at it now, Dynastics has gone somewhat. Samad's got himself a penalty as well, hasn't he? Because he didn't have one previously, whereas Jesse has a penalty that he's going to have to serve from the safety car. So Dynastics is 8 seconds on him. Then you've got Tom Robbo who's come nicely through the field, isn't he? Milan Malden. And then you've got a couple of the hard runners, that's Calvo and Alp, and Conzo and Swarner. And they're all holding up Vaporizer, Risa, Rowan or Bolin, Stinson, Gordon-Golo, and Fruitful. Stinson not so much because he's 4 seconds off the pace. He's got his own little train. So depending on how much those slower hard runners impact the race of Vaporizer, this could be brought right back into these three. Maybe not so much Jesse, but certainly Dynastic and Samad could really get going here. Samad's dropped off a little bit as well, wouldn't you say?
Tom Bobo can really get going. He's
he is getting going, isn't
probably
he?
Probably doesn't want to get past yet. Just wait for that DRS.
Yeah, you say that. He's using a bit of overtake as well, you say that, but sometimes it's not always the best. But if you can get down the inside like Tom Robbo is, then you can show Sam at the outside, or you can just pull in front of him instead. Do that.
Both work.
Well, either way, he's usurped Samad, and he's bringing himself into play here, isn't he? He's got 1.5 seconds to Jesse. I wager that won't be long before that gap comes down.
Vaporizer in the net race lead from pole, of course, has a bit of traffic in Konzo, but then again, Risa has a bit of traffic in Swanner, who's now just into the points on those hard tyres from lap 3, probably maybe early on the safety car. I don't think he pitted on lap 3, that must have been lap 1 or 2 surely, but yeah.
Certainly had a bit more of an entertaining race than previously, didn't we? That's certainly at least
well, yeah,
a little bit more
I was trying to remember the last time we had a safety car, Jack, on lap 1.
I'm intrigued here. Vaporizer, he has got past Swarner, and now he's got Konzo ahead of him. Jesse's got himself a penalty as well. That's going to do him no favours. Rule him out. Vaporizer here. The race depends on how quickly those quicker soft runners get through those hard runners.
Yes.
And when Vaporizer does get, if he does get past Konzo, he'll be onto the back of Alp. Alp is going to go to the end probably. Alp will probably move out of the way, but then you've still got Calzo ahead. So it's fraught with danger, this. Spawner as well, he's not going to be giving anything away. He wants to show that you can cut it at this level. He's an AM1, and he's here to show that AM1 is not, not quite as weak as it once was. And he's doing a good job in 10th.
Vaporizer's going to burn that battery now to try and get past Konzo, but it's not looking lively unless Konzo's going to put up a fight. Is he going to put up a fight? I can't quite get the camera. I don't think he has. And Mercedes nearly running wide at the track limits at turn 1 and 2. Then Williams is tagging along behind. The cars look so slow on that camera, but they're not. Trust me, we're halfway through the Grand Prix, just about. And Vaporizer has got past that car now. Risa 2 cars behind him. And of course, Vaporizer's on a level with points with Bolin, aka Rowing, for this evening. And he's looking to make a step on this championship. He's doing well so far. Just in a comment from Matty saying this is turning to be a classic. I don't think it's going to be quite a 0.018 from last night, but it may turn into a classic later on. And I'm saving my voice for a little bit because I have a feeling something may happen later on, which could be quite, I wouldn't say huge, is that the right word? Crucial? I don't know, I just have a feeling something may happen.
It's not over yet, is it? Certainly. No. Vaporizer, okay, he has relieved Konzo of 8. Swarner hasn't got out the way of Risa though.
Yeah, that'll be a warning for Risa, by the way.
Risa and Bolin, it's not it is Bolin, it's just he's got himself a different name for this week. They haven't cleared the hard runners who are still, in the case of Spawner, yet to stop. So,
yeah,
really, this is quite crucial. Vaporizer is going to do himself a lot of favours now by getting up the road. He's got Alpha ahead, and he probably won't catch Calzo or Alpha if he does, in terms of before they
Reese's going for a double overtake. Does one, does two, just about. Oh, that's nice. Got helped by the Renault going wide a little bit, but Risa, that is clutch. That could mean something later on. He did touch with the Renault, but very, very slightly, and no damage, of course.
Well, obviously he heard me then in that case, because that's a brilliant piece of overtaking. That really is what you need to do at Suzuki. You need to be decisive, and you need to be bold.
But that can go wrong. Really badly, quick.
Wrong, but you can't just sit there behind the slower runner and just let your race drain away. You've got to make something happen, and Risa did that really well there.
He did, absolutely. 2 warnings for Dynastics, 2 warnings for Risa, and that's in the top 10 at the moment. Everyone else is either on, 1 or 0. So that's what we need to look out for. Dynastics and Risa are on 2. And you said when Jesse got his penalty a lap or 2 ago that may cost him. and it probably will.
Yeah, it will. 8 seconds is not going to be easy to gain here because it's a track where you're fast slow and it's fast corners.
Oh,
And I
going
think
down the
well, we
inside, Jack.
just got
Yeah,
past Convo going into the triangle chicane.
good
He
spot.
wasn't waiting for DRS, was he?
Well, he hasn't got DRS, has he? Because now the Renault's got it back because he didn't pass the DRS line behind him, but it's not going to do anything, luckily.
No, he would have. He would have had. I don't think Conzo had it either. He certainly didn't open his wings, which is a bit.
Oh, he did have it. So, Vaporizer. So Alp is ahead of his teammate by 4.7 seconds, but we may have Alp and the hard driver of Calzo going to the end. Of course, they pitted on a safety car at the start. We don't know. Tyre wear at the moment. Who is it? Alp. He is on 49% already. How many laps has he done? Well, it's not 13. It's probably 14 or 15. So that would mean he'd have to do 50. Well, that's going to be close, isn't it? It's going to be pushing 80 plus. If you're working out the per lap percentages, surely.
Dreadful. Being brutally honest, they'll be absolutely dreadful. But they'll make it, but they won't be quick.
Well, he's going to let his teammate through, of course, but then he's got a job on of trying to keep Risa and Rowan behind as long as possible.
Well, yes.
And any VSC or safety car now, the top 5 are laughing.
Looking at it now, I think they're going to have to probably stretch it to 18 or 19 to be able to come in and comfortably get to the end on softs. They're doing a good job. In all honesty, they'll be fine. They're not going to be in great
65% is the highest, Jack, at the top.
That's not that bad, really. That's at least another lap. So they'll be okay. Dynastics has really got the gap to Jesse, and Tom Roberts not going to be able to make much of an impact as well. But obviously he's going to have to stop too. It might be worth maybe Tom Roberts thinking about an undercut.
Sorry, just looking at some task details. Milan 71%, so a bit of a mix between 65 and 72-ish between the top 5. Like Jack said, another lap will be fine. A little bit less fuel on the car as well. You can see on the steering wheel there, 12.6 laps of fuel. I think that is, with a plus 2.2 for Alp, so he's got some fuel spare. I'm sure other drivers do too.
Yeah, it's a good defensive tactic here because, as long as track position's key, as long as you've got track position, you don't need to be actually that fast. As long as you've got good traction, you'll hold your position unless, something quite bad goes wrong or the driver behind does something, rather ridiculous. So, he's in a good position. He's got Vaporizer catch. Vaporizer will catch him if Alf decides to stay out.
Oh dear.
Jesse's did. So that's
I don't know if you've seen that. He just got a penalty, Jesse, for speeding in the pit lane. Oh, who's going down the inside? Calzo on Milan, turn 2. I can't get a good view. Round the outside, we saw wheel-to-wheel action last night, but Calzo gives in and stays behind the Red Bull. Wasn't quite willing to go round the S's next to another car.
Those mediums are beginning to cry enough now. They'll be glad to see the back of those mediums, I think. The hard tyres here for Calzo and Alp, it's a bit of a weird one because the mediums behind are obviously a lot quicker and the mediums ahead are a lot slower. You're kind of a bit odd, really, and it does happen particularly at fast-flowing circuits such as this. Milan is going to be pitting at the end of this lap, one would imagine. Tom Robbo, Saman and Dynastic. Jesse's got another time penalty as well, would you believe? So I think he's cemented himself in 16th.
He's not one for getting penalties though, Jesse. He's not one for getting.
Once one happens, it's quite easy for 2, 3 and 4 to follow. So the safety car didn't help. Milan's using his DRS now. Calzo's not used any. Calzo's still got 76%, so maybe he's planning some sort of assault later on, or maybe he's keeping them on reserve.
Oh!
I think
Puncture!
Oh, he has got a puncture. Oh,
that's
dear.
for Milan, and he's going to have to enter the pits. It's a good time for softs, but he's cost himself 5-10 seconds. Penalties on screen. Risa, Samad, Milan, Swarner, and Dresse with 3. That was. I wondered why he missed his braking point, but yeah, that wheel was basically off.
Yeah, well, not a bad time to get get well, never a good time to get a penalty, but get a puncture, but he could have gone worse. Dynastic's now out in 11th on soft tug. He's really got to be busy early, like I said earlier, because those are going to feel fantastic for about 5 laps. If he doesn't get any moves done there, then he's just going to be driving around in circles. He's still got Calvo obviously ahead and out ahead. They say that they probably aren't going to have to pit. Swarner will have to pit. Swarner's going to be pitting at the end of this lap, I would imagine, so we'll get points. But Dynastics really haven't led the race for so long. He's got to get on with this now, because otherwise he really is going to be in a bugger's muddle if he can't get past these cars ahead fairly quickly.
2.5 laps ago, the percentage was, what did I say? 49. It's now 59 for the hards. So it's not looking great for that tyre wear, and there's still quite a bit to go. 8 laps when we cross.
They'll make it. They'll make it. As Dynastics is already getting the hammer down now. He's going to the outside of Fruitful. He's going to try and go around the outside before the 130R. The Ferrari, well, he's got him beforehand anyway. The Ferrari of Gordon is moving about all over the place. Oh, well, he's just clean around the outside. What do I
Did
know?
he get touched?
No,
I don't know.
no, it's perfect.
Okay.
Perfectly good racing there. And I think Fruitful's had enough. And he's going to try and usurp Gordon.
CDR had a monstrous exit, hence why he stayed ahead of Fruitful. Up top, if Alp and Calzo are going to the end, this is not quite a bad. Well, it's a battle for P1. There's no question about that. Vaporizer and Risa have come in. You may have noticed Risa has broke that second gap, so Vaporizer will be shouting and calling his teammate to try and help him, to try and keep Risa behind. Yellow flag. That's an Alfa Romeo, and that might be Jesse's race over. It's all gone downhill since that first penalty, hasn't it?
Out in a blaze of glory, though, he has just set the fastest lap.
That's alright then.
Probably the only thing of note he'll achieve. It's a debut in EU1, and it's a bit of a school of hard knocks. They're Swaller and Stinson, meanwhile, Stinson's school of hard knocks. They're going at it. Hammer and Tom is Kobayashi Hefin. Not his actual name, but I think it's one we'll remember it by. Stinson here is going to be in big trouble from Dynastics if he's not careful. And they're all bottlenecks behind the rather slow-moving Conzo. Conzo, who's there by right, and it'll be grateful, I suggest, for the buffer that he's got behind him. One's got no ERS, neither Stinson, neither Dynastics, so it's going to be who gets a good exit out of this next chicane. Oh, not a good entrance. Stinson talking 130R and down the inside. Quite there, Limmy, I'll hand back to you.
That's okay. Alps taking the lead of the Grand Prix, and he's in P1 at the moment. And Vaporizer has Calzo for company next as we come down the main straight. It wouldn't be bad as a fan to sit there, would it? No overtakes, I don't think, from 8th to 12th. But the McLaren there of Dynastics on those brand new softs, getting very, very close to the back of that Mercedes. Every single driver ahead of him is going to be pretty much slower, unless you're Jarno Otmir. Jesse's retired in the pit lane, that's his race over. 2 in the pit lane, 1 at the start, down to 50.
Okay, bit optimistic to be pressing ERS going to the outside of Degner. They're going side by side.
Oh!
Goodness me.
That is relying on A, slip, and B, Swan is going to try and let him pass without conceding to Stinson, who's going to come in on the inside. And because of that, what's the word? I can never think of a word.
Team racing.
I guess. Yeah. And he's going to come back through 200 though. Don't touch! Whatever you do, don't touch. And you know he did. The Mercedes stays ahead.
Hour there, I think he might have been better off doing that into Spoon, but or at least maybe on the exit, because you're always there. If you do it there just before the entrance of the half, you're going to leave yourself open for an attack there. But still, decent points for the McLaren driver, and plenty of cars around, and we've also got penalties as well.
How incredible! Oh, yeah, Dynastics passed Conzo, or at least going wheel to wheel into the Castro Triangle. He stays ahead. How weird is it that the top 2 have exactly the same tyre wear per tyre? I've just checked. 67 is the highest now. For the top 2.
Those tyres. Now, Dynastics has got to go. He has such a good run. He's been really aggressive. He has been busy early, as I said earlier. And now he's got 8 seconds of clear track. He won't catch the leaders, I suspect, unless they hit dramas. The hard tyres are ahead and they are wearing.
Yeah, 12.4 leader.
Like that, because he's just nearly driven off the circuit onto those marbles and into the grass. So he's going to need to really focus now and get on with it.
Yeah, 6 laps to go. Leader gap 4. Dynastics 13 seconds. So a safety car now would help. Absolutely, but I don't quite see one coming. I think everyone's settled in. Alps pulled a second on Kauza, which is good. Vaporizer, bit of a sticky situation. He's got to get past Kauza because he's got a Mercedes who'll want to, well, A, win the race, and B, get on the podium as a minimum.
Calzo saved all of his ERS and he's pressing enough out of Spoon every single time to be able to get within that 1 second before the section point before chicane. It's actually quite clever and it's saving himself a lot of bother going down the straight. He's second back now, but he was there. He was where he needed to be. Doesn't matter how good you are through that chicane, he was where he needed to be through the 130R, because every single time out of Spoon he saved a little bit more ERS. He's just pressing just on the exit, and that's really where you need to, because you're going up through the gears, and that's where it's going to be most effective.
Contact between Tom Robbo and Dresse Basson, just behind Fruitful, that's for P12. Tom Robbo gets ahead, further down the line. Stinson is ahead of Konzo in his Mercedes car. He's into P7.
Yeah, he's all side by side with Fruitful. I think Fruitful was under attack. Tom Robbo's another man who's had to put softs on, but he's fallen a bit further back. He might well have been suited staying out an extra lap, because he's come out right behind this train, which Dynastics managed to clear. But Tom Robbo was the McLaren and the Ferrari going side by side through the Decna, and the McLaren wins through.
Oh, someone just got a bump. You see that? I think Fruitful got a bit of a shunt.
Yeah, Tom Roberts tagged him. I don't know whether that's giving him any damage or not. We'll have to check that for you, but looked just about okay. It's Dresse Basson and Tom Robbo. Hang on, the Ferrari's exited stage left. What's happened there?
Well, it was a secondary.
Oh my goodness me, Tom Roberts had an accident.
He has! It's a safety car!
That is a safety car, and now what do you do?
It's a safety car, and the leader's just approaching the pits. If he stays out, the safety car will probably do 2 or 3 laps. 2 laps probably. It'll be 2 laps remaining. Or what do you do?
So what happened there was
he stayed. Wait, this brings... Sorry, Jack, 1 second. This brings Dynastics right in, doesn't it? Because he's got no penalties. He's straight at the pack.
It does and it doesn't. It just depends really how well he keeps those soft tyres. If he stays out, it's a great move. But he has... Why is he pitted?
Who's pitted? I can't...
Oh
no, why did he have damage? Let me check TAS. Yeah, Dresse Basson retired.
But you can't really overtake here, so...
Why did he pit?
I don't understand.
He has no damage, unless TAS hasn't updated, which it has.
I understand why Sworder behind him pitted. Bus Mercedes pitted, so Reese has gone back to 10th, and Stinson's ended up... No, not Bus Mercedes pitted. Reese pitted, so he's 10th. But Alp and Calzo have stayed out. Now, that presents a problem for Vaporizer.
Well,
Vaporizer has now got Rowan back into play, Stinson back into play, Konzo back into play, Ford Ningolo back into play, behind Fruitful back into play.
Well, CDR's back into play because he's ahead of those with the same pens, obviously.
Yeah, and I don't know. The only thing I will say is he's on fresh softs, and those fresh softs are going to be grippier than anything else. But he's not going to make up 6 places in 2 laps.
Well,
I could be wrong, I often am, but I don't see that happening here.
I'm just having a quick look at TAS, right? So, I mean, Joe's saying Out should have boxed, but if Out boxes and the other's done and he doesn't win the race, then he'll be obviously reacting to that in a way that he shouldn't have.
I understand why Alp hasn't boxed,
well,
because you might as well gamble at this point. You might as well gamble and see where it takes you.
74% is Alp's tyre. 74% is Calzo's highest. The medium runners behind, 59 and 53. Stinson's is 65 on the mediums. Konzo's 75. So it's pretty high. Why Dynastic is pitted, I don't know. I feel that if a safety car comes in at the end of 25, 2 laps without DRS, I still think he could have made the moves. I still think he could have got a podium. I mean, look at the tyre percentages, Jack. The lowest from... okay, take away CDR because it's not bad. But the lowest tyre going up from P7, 61%. I don't understand why he's done it.
You'll be ambitious if you're going to try, or think you're going to try and pass, unless his tyres weren't great, or unless they were qualifying tyres, in which case...
Well, these are quality tyres, because when he pitted, they said 6%. And Dynastics, but Dynastics is going to have to... Dynastics is going to have to overtake 4 people, yeah, which have got the same tyre wear basically. Then he could have had to overtake 4 people with 71% on the hards and mediums.
Not necessarily. I agree with you. I don't think it's the right call. But the 2 soft runners in Milan and Samad ahead, they aren't going to be, you know, those soft won't be up to much. Reese is the man really to watch in 10th. He's on totally fresh soft. He isn't going to make up 9 places, I would have thought. But he'll certainly be up there. Dynastics, though, with where he was, he's a bit of a surprise. He'd have been 6th. No, he wouldn't have been 5th. He would have been 5th, perhaps 4th, actually. He had a stint.
No, it was 6th, wasn't it? Well, it was 6th, wasn't it?
No, but he was ahead of Stinson, wasn't he? I'm just trying to work this out now. I think he might want to have been ahead of Stinson. So
well, yeah, but Reese pitted, so that would have been 1 more.
Yeah, Reese did pit, so I'm trying to work out whether he.
See again, why did Reese make the right decision? Who knows? I mean, Reese, the top 7 don't have penalties, so it's all even. My job isn't to analyse. That's your job. I mean, you're good. I say rubbish things sometimes.
His mediums were going in. You know, you can gamble, and you probably won't lose a lot.
Yeah.
Dynastics, though, from where he is, he was in a pound seat, so you know, 2 laps to go. He's never going to get DRS either. That's the thing. He's not going to get DRS. So
safety car.
He's going to have to rely on pure grip, and hoping that the tyres, you know, are that much better that. You know, 2 seconds from, you know, you can get 2 seconds on everybody and he can pass everybody, and I don't think that's going to happen. Great news for Galvo, though, because he's got a chance at a podium which, having qualified so far back, you might not have thought was possible.
Everyone's got at least 1.1 plus fuel, so you can go rich fuel for the final 2 laps. Here we go then. Can Alp bring home the Japanese Grand Prix over the next 3 minutes? Tune in to find out. Alp ahead of Calzo, ahead of Vaporizer with green flag conditions. Someone had dramas. Oh no, that's huge for the championship. I don't know if you saw what happened. That is huge. The championship leader at the top with Vaporizer is at the back of the grid. Fruitful has got past Konzo. His tyres are dying and CDR is going to get involved as well. And that's for P5 at the moment. Vaporizer's very close to Calzo. Could it be a racing point 1-2?
It could well be, but he's going to have to get his move done early because Calzo's got plenty of ERS and has been very difficult to pass. I think Rowan's left without retiring, so I think the stewards may have something to say about that. Calzo's quite unsettled though. He went over the grass at Degner, so he's got to settle himself back down and just try and keep within the DRS, no, not the DRS range, within the slipstream range of Alp. Alp's been and gone at this point. He's got a second gap.
Absolutely.
So as long as his tyres stay the course, he'll stay the course and he'll probably win the race.
Round 200R, and CDR looking on for an inside move on Konzo. No, we've seen that have a few problems this week. Reese is ahead of Samad, who's ahead of Dynastics. Who got on the curve there? I think it was Reese. He's up into 8th from 10th, and Konzo and Calzo both went struggling. Calzo on the podium though at the minute.
So Dynastics is going for a move down the inside of 130R, and Samad's hanging it out round the outside. I think the 130R has been kind to Dynastics, and he is going to stay there. Shuts the door on the Ferrari as well. Perfectly fair there, but he does get himself a 3 second time.
Oh dear.
Second chicane. That's his race. Well, his plan's gone. Reese is now making a move down the inside on Corden and Golo. Vaporizer failed to pass Calvo going into the first corner. Calvo held on brilliantly there.
Yeah, and Risa stays behind CDR, and Samad stays behind Dynastics. On the final lap of Japan, it's been an epic race, to be fair. 2 safety cars, one at the start, one at the end. Can Alp, for the next 60 seconds, on just check the tyres really quickly.
Oh, Konzo, I think, got a puncture.
Really?
Konzo's got a puncture. He's got very slow.
Let's have a look.
Be wrong here, but he's got, he has front right puncture.
Which one?
Konzo. That gamble failed.
What tyre was it on? He was on 77. Alpin Calzo 82. Oh, big damage! Who's come off? Swan has come off. He's come second best. Someone's lost an end play as well in the battle down there. Alpin Calzo. Wait, who? Calzo would have been told by his Scottish friend that he has got a puncture on 5% less than he is.
Well, Calzo's just going to have to stay the course here, but he should be okay from here on in. it's only going to be through the 130 yard that he's going to have real problems. But he's got half a second, so he can afford to be a bit careful.
And he's only... He's going to be so close. Someone's going to go wheel to wheel for the 4th place here between Sixton and Fruitful. If we go on board with Alp's gearbox, we may be able to see. After 27 chaotic laps, Alp is going to take the win in Suzuka. What a result that is. The Scottishman Calzo has somehow got himself on the podium, but his teammate had a puncture. Vaporizer gets ahead of Bolin, of course, in the championship. And Stinson beats Fruitful right at the end. If that isn't a classic Grand Prix, I don't know what is.
Gordon N'Golo crashed out of a points finish. He crashed just before the start-finish line. He did him on Toya. He went skating off straight to the sea. Wow, that was breathless, wasn't it?
Now I'm not like Dan. I won't lose my voice. I did 2 hours of Singapore last week, but that was incredible. Who made an early comment? I think it was Matty said, could be a classic. Woo! Alpencalzo on the podium. Bolling out with 2 laps to go. Vaporizer is going to take the lead of the championship, and so a Racing Point.
Still intact. He left the session. I'm going to try and get these 3 drivers in, and that is SMN Alp, isn't it? So let's just make sure that party is set up. Yes, certainly a classic is probably a masterpiece in understatement, isn't it?
Well, I woke up this morning, I was hoping not for a DRS tray, and I didn't get one, which is beautiful.
Okay, so Alp and then Vaporizer. Vaporizer, though, extends his lead, doesn't he? He opens up a 15-point gap, doesn't he, over Bolin? I think it's those two who are the championship chasers, aren't they?
Absolutely. I'm just taking some screenshots on the computer.
The second place, that's Calvo in the Renault. Let's just make sure that we get those all important party invites as you head off to the showroom for the Force India. Not Force India, is the Racing Point nowadays.
Yeah, just taking some screenshots of the social media team. Rizal can do his graphics. Oh my lord, everybody. What a race that was. On the viewers as well. 60 plus all race. Absolutely fabulous. Thank you so much. We actually hit the record last season in Japan. So Japan seems a very popular track. What a race. What a race. Safety car lights out. Safety car at the end. Safety cars make everything. Don't forget about the new rule in real life Formula 1 as well, where we can now have standing starts after safety cars. How good's that going to be? Right, who won? So Out won. We'll put the Racing Point on the showroom. And in a second we will commence the interviews. Please make sure the drivers have their voice on the share. If you can hear me, everybody, that would be fantastic.
And if you can try not to swear, some people might be a bit offended. So
I might have to beep.
Yeah, you might well have to get a couple of things out. Sorting the mic out. I think that's all 3 drivers, isn't it? So we're going to start with third place and the new solo championship leader, NSX Vaporizer. Vaporizer, it could have been more, but it could have been a lot less, as your rivals showed. Just sum up that last few laps for yourself.
Yeah, the last few laps. Well, I was catching up to Kelso and Alp, but they just had more pace because I think they were just being held up by Milan. And yeah, they just. Well, I think I was actually having trouble staying in the DRS of Kelso at the end. So yeah, I don't know. The last laps weren't. Safety car came in. I couldn't really do anything, I guess, at the end.
Did you ever consider maybe swapping over to soft tyres, or did you think that was a risk too far?
Yeah, but then I would have been like P9, so no. Not really, no. I wasn't gonna make up like 6 positions in 2 laps, even more.
Must have been relieved.
I was thinking about like it's also really risk like overtaking 6 guys, even if you can. Like there might always be contact in an overtake, so you never know if you get damage. Just keep it safe and just stay out, stay out.
Mr. Vaporizer, welcome to the podium interviews again. Oh, little bit of a voice break, but it's worth it. Top of the championship now by I believe it'll be 15, won't it?
Yeah.
Good race, great race from our perspective. can you match that with entertainment from your side, or was it a little bit stressful?
Not really stressful, but the only cars they really had to overtake were the back marks, like the guys who didn't pit yet. So that was a bit entertaining, and then the rest of the race was just driving around. And at the beginning, I was thinking, it's gonna get P1 because Russell didn't really have to pace in the beginning at least. And then at the end of the medium run, I think he was quicker than me. But, yeah.
I was paying a lot of attention throughout the whole race on the tyre management of the drivers. Obviously, we can look at specific percentages.
Yeah.
You were better by 7% from the cars on the same tyre at the end, and about 5% before the pit stop. So, did you adjust the setup for tyre management? Did you drive in a way to manage the tyres, or was it just by luck that you were somehow getting better tyres management?
I guess I'm never that bad on tyre wear, but never good or something, so I don't know where that came from. I haven't changed the setup in tyre wear, so no, I have no idea. I actually thought I was on worse tyre wear than the others.
No, 6%.
Sliding around
better,
a bit.
Yeah. Well, fair enough, my friend. Oh, 1 second, Jack. I just want to say, very quickly, well done. And you now move to Bahrain. Just your quick thoughts on the circuit, please.
Bad OP?
Pad OP, are you on pad?
No.
Alright, so are we getting another podium out of you, or what?
Hopefully, no. I don't know how many people are going to be on pad, and if the pad even is that quick.
Alright, man.
Can still have some pace, but yeah, we will see.
Good man. Take your 15 points and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so we're going to go to second place, Calzo. Calzo, bit of an eventful race. A race where you have to show quite a lot of patience, I think it's fair to say. And your patience paid off, didn't it?
I mean, yeah, it did in the end, but it was probably one of the most stressful races I've ever had. And I just constantly looking at the car the whole thing. I thought it would get past me towards the end, but so I'm thankful for that. But I think I got quite lucky in the race, but
I think the luck was earned. When you went onto hard tyres, I think it was the end of lap 1 or lap 2, wasn't it? Was it always the intention to go to the end? Did you see how things played out after a pretty disappointing qualifying session?
Yeah, my call not exactly been helping me. I don't know. I think I just lose the ability to use my thumbs in qualifying now. Race just because I put them on for hards, it was always to the end. Just because when you start 17th from the grid, you just got to go for it no matter what. Just go for it.
Calzo, what a pleasure to have you back on the podium from last season. That is an incredible result from 17th on the grid. You were 8th in the championship before the race. I believe that's going to put you up to 5th. Really unfortunate for your teammate, of course, but how satisfied are you with 18 points?
Well, this was so far this season, so I'd say we have. I think I got to bed tonight, but it could be a lot more, but I put my position on the hard tyres towards the end, so I just had to let him go and hope he just bust.
Yeah, yours were 82% highest. Your teammates was only 79 highest, and his burst. You sent a paragraph in at the beginning of the season, Calzo. My hopes are to not be as tragic as last season. A polo racing will be nice, and to make some interesting races to watch if I develop a brain. That's one of the best races we'll see all season from you, and because of you. So, you're matching up to your paragraph.
Well, as long as I keep disappointing everyone in qualifying, I'll try to put on a good race.
It would have been. I think your teammate still got a point in the end, by the way. I'll have to check that. I believe that's what I saw in the stream. Now, of course, we don't see you on the podiums every week, Calzo. But I wish we could. What do you think of Bahrain and your realistic expectations?
Bahrain's always a track that I've liked. I usually always go quite well around there, so maybe if I get my qualifying order, I might aim for a wee top 5.
Top 5, good man. Personally, thank you for the entertainment. and you're taking home 18 points for you and Renault. Well done, sir.
Nice one.
We're going to go to the race winner, and that is SMM Alp. Alp, I used the word eventful to describe Calzo's race. I think that would be a masterpiece in understatement, bearing in mind your start to the race. Just talk about it from your perspective, please.
Yeah, so I didn't really get a good launch. Reese immediately overtook me, and Rowan was to the inside. I was side by side with him, so I was sandwiched between them. I'm just looking at the footage now. So I backed out. Then Fruitful came swooping around the outside. We barely touched, but it was enough to spin me into Rowan. Then me and Rowan just flew off the track. Yeah, luckily I didn't retire.
That's it,
yeah.
Jack. I told you on the stream, didn't I? I said, what did I say? I said must have been involving Fruitful because that's when he got the penalty.
Yeah.
So it wasn't actually on the safety car. It must have been on that.
I'm surprised if that gave him the penalty though, because. But we'll see. I think the stewards probably have a bit of sorting out and ironing out to do, don't they?
Yeah, you got another question.
I do indeed have another question. And then, at what point out did you decide that the hards were going to go to the end?
Lap 10, I think. Lap 10, I had a look. They were 25%. So, yeah, I told to myself, I'm just gonna stick with this and see what happens. And I might have got a puncture if there wasn't that safety car. I think that sort of saved me. Otherwise, the tires would have been dead, and I think Vaporizer would have had me. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, better to not know, I guess.
Yeah. Did you ever know what happened to the other Renault? At the end of the race? Konza.
No, I was just
too excited. Well, he got a puncture, and his tyres were 4% less than yours. So that's why he drops. And we were like, okay, well, Calzo's going to know because they're probably in communication. But Output have a clue, and your tyres were actually 1% higher than Calzo. I believe it was 84 at the end. So you were... That was close, man. So anyway, the question being, you went from lights out last, like Perez did in Sakir. You've gone through the whole Grand Prix on a set of hards, a late safety car. How the heck have you controlled your emotions through 45 minutes?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I didn't think I'd win my first race this way. Like,
is this your first ever win?
Well, not in contest of speed in general, but in EU1, yes.
Oh, nice. Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, I won many in AM1, but in EU1, like, something's always happened, something's not gone my way. So 4 seasons without a win. I really want to get my first win this season, and yeah, I didn't think it was possible after being in the gravel on lap 1, but yeah, just things went my way, and I think I managed to race pretty well. Yeah, and with a bit of luck, it finally came together.
Definitely worth a stress, isn't it, if you come out with a win, no matter how much you earn it. I mean, you give a great explanation of the lights out as well. It'll be interesting to watch that back, because the first thing I said was you got a horrendous start. I mean, you was already swamped. Was it the bit when you backed out that, you know, caused the issue, or could you have gone flat?
No, well, if I went flat, there would have been a huge collision. I think Fufu would have been out as well. So,
right. Yeah.
It's just like very little. His right rear tire touches my front left. Then there just isn't enough space for me in between him and Rowan to do anything. So I couldn't have done anything else there, in my opinion. But
and you had to change your wing, which put you behind a couple more that pitted as well, didn't you? So you was even more at a handicap.
Well, I was already last, so it didn't matter. But yeah, I guess you could say that.
That is crazy. That is crazy. What a race. Matty Robbo said this is going to be a classic at about lap 8 or something. And my God, that'll probably be the race of the season. So thank you for being a part of it, and thank you for winning from the back.
Yeah, thank you. I'll make sure to watch the stream back and try to make it 2-2 today in AM1.
Yeah, mate, that would be some history, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I've had a bit of a shocker so far, but yeah.
Well,
let's see if it works out.
Well, see you in Bahrain, sir, and well done on the win.
Yep, thank you.
Jack Prentice.
Yes, it just needs for me to say that in the week where we lost Formula One's grandfather, I think it's fair to say, the grandfather of Formula One, many generations of fans in English-speaking countries, me to say that in motorsports anything can happen, and in Formula One it usually does. I think we've certainly seen that tonight. To have a man win from 17th, or right at the very back, as Alp did, proves what a fantastic sport that esports and indeed motorsport can be. So, a perfect tribute from EU1. I think it's fair to say it's a track where he came out with one of his most famous lines. We miss you, Murray, and we're glad to have put on a show for you.
Could you just confirm our partnership with that Facebook group for us?
There is a partnership with the Facebook group as well, the F1 Armchairs group. Thank you for reminding me. I got a bit lost in the moment. Yes,
I don't
the
blame
F1
you.
Armchairs group for everybody to go and discuss all things motorsports, including and primarily Formula One. In 2 weeks away from the main season now, so that'll be a hive of activities.
Instagram, Twitters, get on there, follow them, follow the stream, follow the YouTube. They re-upload every single race on there at some point. And that is one worth re-uploading. I'm happy I woke up Wednesday morning or today to witness that race. Absolutely superb. Best race of the week by an absolute mile. Even though last night was pretty good, but I think that tops it. Not being biased, Jack. Yeah, that's it for another week. We head to Bahrain next week. Pad OP said vaporizer, and let's see if that is true. Thank you for joining us. AM1 later on, EU4 tomorrow, and Endurance is in Brazil for Friday and Saturday. See you next week for EU1 in Bahrain. Good night.